I'm a slow reader, and sometimes I feel pressure to read faster. Hello and welcome back to Bookish, and welcome to a video which I'm going to basically talk about why I like reading slow. So I titled this In Praise of Slow Reading. I was thinking about this today primarily because of a book I'm reading right now and two videos. One of those videos I'm in, it's a video from Sean the Book Maniac in which he and I had a discussion about two articles talking about kind of the gamification of reading and, is social media good for that? Putting pressure on people just to read books, to, make it kind of a game. How many books can I read in a year or whatever? And the second was a video from Willow over at Willow Talks Books, in which she talked about the best reading experience of her life, a time when she was in college and she was reading, Game of Thrones and playing a video game and listening to some of her favorite music, and just kind of how perfect that was. And that reminded me of kind of what I usually think of as my most perfect reading experience. And then the book I'm reading right now is Cuddy by Benjamin Myers, and I'll do a review of this when I'm finished. But this book is just absolutely remarkable, and it's one of those books which is just, and I've had several of these experiences this year, it's one of those books that's just an absolute pleasure to read. Which has kind of sent me into this reading reverie where I find myself now, which I think is what Willow was alluding to, what I experienced in college. In the summer of 1986, when I was, I think, a sophomore or maybe a junior in college, I can't remember the years right now, I basically, during one Christmas holiday, read most of the major works of William Faulkner, some Hemingway. I read some fantasy novels during that time period, and it was just an incredible period of time which I just devoted myself to reading. I didn't have any responsibilities beyond family responsibilities. All my friends lived somewhere else in college, so I didn't really have, people that I wanted to do anything with, and I just stayed home and I read. And I read so much and I finished so many books. It was just extraordinary. And it was one of those periods of time in which you kind of find yourself just so in the groove of reading, so into the books that you're reading, that there's nothing else that you want to do. And I find myself in that same kind of position today. And the thing about that kind of reading for me is that kind of reading is slow reading. That reading experience happens when I slow down, when a book sometimes makes me slow down, or I make myself slow down and read slowly. So, I read slowly already. One of the reasons why I read slowly is that I subvocalize. And subvocalization means that I hear myself or a voice, that I put with the characters of the book or the author in my head so that I hear all the words out loud. This definitely slows me down because it slows my reading pace down to the pace of speech for me. I've made a whole video about this, and I'm not going to change. I like that. That's part of the reading experience that I like the most. The second reason why I'm a slow reader, I think, is that I daydream when I'm reading. I will read a passage, I'll read something, and I'll stop and I'll put the book down for a second and I'll think about what I've read. I'll think about the language, I'll think about the images, I'll think about whatever the story or the plot point is, and I'll actually spend time thinking about it. This is one reason why oftentimes I find audiobooks to be more challenging, because it's much harder for me to do that, to stop the audiobook from playing and take that moment to contemplate. A third reason why I read slowly is that I reread. When I read a beautiful passage or something I think is just really well written, I will go back and read it a few times so that I can kind of understand, how it was done, or I can just appreciate the craft or the beauty or the art of how that sentence was written or how those sentences and passages are written. And this definitely slows me down, because I'm rereading. In addition to that, I will say that sometimes when I'm having my best reading moments, when I'm enjoying a book the most, I feel such a level of contentment and such kind of, I guess, happiness with what I'm doing and how the book is working for me that I fall asleep thinking about the book. And there are few things, in life. Well, there are some things, but there are only a few things in life that are more rewarding or more pleasurable to me. Maybe it's because I have a hard time getting to sleep, staying asleep. Maybe it's that. And then the fifth reason I think that I read slowly is because I savor books that really affect me. I don't want to read them fast. I become completely immersed in the book. Everything outside the book kind of fades away while I'm reading the book and while I'm going through the pages, while I'm absorbing the language, while I'm reading the subject, and I just become kind of blinkered. I'm not aware of what page I'm on. I'm not aware of the pace that I'm reading. I'm not thinking about other books I want to get to instead of that book. And it's just this real kind of, I think, enjoyable pleasure I get from reading. So, you know, one of the things I would say in response to, and if you watched the video I did with Sean, I think if setting a goal and having a reading goal is good for you and it helps you to read more and that's something to do, I think that's great. For me, that's not something that I'm really interested in doing, in part because when I get to a book like Cuddy, the book I'm reading right now, when I get to that book, I don't want to feel pressure to finish it. To give you some idea of how slow I'm going, I started reading Cuddy on the 2nd, and today is the 6th. It's a little over 400 pages, so you know, you might think I'm not reading that slowly, but I'm not going to finish it today, so I probably won't finish it the 7th or the 8th. Then that's fine for me. That'll be the only book that I finish in that time, which, you know, if I were keeping to a schedule, if I had a set number of books I wanted to read, then, you know, I would feel like I was behind. I might feel pressure to finish it, but I feel none of that. And so I'm just savoring the book. I'm savoring that pleasure, that experience, that joy that we all hopefully get from time to time from reading. And I'm not in a hurry for that to pass. So, you know, consider this to be maybe a manifesto in favor of slow reading from time to time, if you can, or slow for you, if you can, and to just kind of enjoy the experience of a really great book without trying to move on to the next one, without worrying about how fast you're going. Anyway, this was just a ramble. Look forward to your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, thank you for watching.